let's get started. So I remember, I'll start this off with a little story. I remember standing in the cafeteria of America Online, AOL at the time, and the president and CEO of AOL was standing up on a chair, kind of in the cafeteria, and he's had a beer in his hand, and he's toasting all the employees, and for a good week that they had. And I sat there and I thought, this is really cool. It's like, this is a cool company. I really like the fact that I'm getting to hang out with these guys. And so, does everybody remember America Online? AOL? Everybody remembers that, right? So they had all the discs in the mail, and you got mail. So I worked at Sprint at the time, and AOL at the time was Sprint's largest customer. So I spent a lot of time at the AOL headquarters in Virginia, and I remember thinking at the time that this is really a cool business, and just sort of like, I'm really glad that I get to witness this, because it was unlike any other business at the time, because it was really small, it was growing really fast, but they just took time to appreciate life. And I remember they gave me a copy of this special beta software. It was called a browser, and it read HTML, which was, at the time, nobody knew that and stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is really cool stuff. Of course, now, right, people just use computers with browsers a lot of times, and HTML is like, that's old hat. But the reason I kind of tell you that story is that at the time, I remember taking the time and thinking this was a really cool ride, and I really appreciated it, and I just took time to appreciate that. And I didn't know at the time, now I look back on that story and I was thinking about it, I didn't know at the time that I was really at the forefront of the internet, creating the internet. Kind of a weird, crappy version, AOL, but it was the start of the internet. And I thought, man, I was there to witness that. And so I would just say, as you guys are, if you're going to embarking on your new careers or even your current careers, just, take time to sit down and just think about that and just enjoy the ride, because you don't know, you're probably involved in something really special you don't even know, but you're going to think about that later. And I think about it now, and I'm glad I took the time to do that. So anyways, I cut my business teeth at Sprint, and by the end of that, I was doing training and development. So I did that for about 12 years, and then after Sprint, I started my own internet marketing consulting business. I did that for about 6 years. I'm still doing that. But last year, I decided to combine the two together. So I decided to take the training material I had in the internet marketing and kind of put the two together, and ended up writing my book, and I call it Monetize Your Message. And this is basically an A to Z system that allows anybody with a message, or has written a book, or if they're a speaker or a life coach, typically, to take this message and create an online course and then market and sell it on the internet. And it's really about 90% marketing. So although my more expertise is in course creation, I had to learn that if you can create the best course in the world, but if you can't get anybody to notice you and sell it, then it's not going to go anywhere. So that's how I started off getting into internet marketing, and that's what I do right now. And when I met Nicole and she asked me, well, what do you want to speak on? And I said, well, I can speak on to anything, A to Z in this whole system. A lot of it, though, is how to create courses, but it's a lot of internet marketing stuff. But I thought I would focus in on content marketing, because it's really so important. And it was so important to me that I actually have created a separate course called Content Marketing for the Rest of Us, and that's what this presentation is based on. Because really, you have to be able to cut through all the clutter, because there's a lot of information out there, right? And if you can't figure out a way to get people to know, like, and trust you, then they're not going to buy. And so that's really the key thing. It's trusting. You need to get these people to trust you. And it's hard because they're not looking at you. Like, you're in sales and you're probably going to get to see people face to face. But on the internet, you got to do everything you can to get people to know, like, and trust you, because they don't buy unless they trust you. So it's really what content marketing is all about. So I've created this 8-step blueprint it's a 5-step blueprint that goes through, and it's really built for small businesses or solo entrepreneurs. But it's based on a lot of corporate content marketing strategies and so on. So you'll get the gist of it, of what content marketing is, either way. But if you're in small business at all, in solo entrepreneur, so on, this will really make sense. Because I tried to create a system that was sort of streamlined to compete with the big guys, because they've got staffs, they've got a lot of people that are out there, creating lots of content and putting it out there. So this is sort of how the small guy can do it. All right, so Before we get going, this is my definition of content marketing. So marketing strategy where you create and publish content to enrich the lives of your audience, to get them to know, like, and trust you so that someday that they'll buy from you. So that's sort of my definition about this, and sort of the whole presentation will kind of, go around that. All right, so brief overview of this is the blueprint. So first thing we do is we have to do some business analysis. So we need to figure out really who our customer is, who is our ideal target audience. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Then we're going to talk about what social platforms you should get on, because you don't need to be on every single platform necessarily. And then a little bit about how do we create really good high quality content. And again, this is geared for the small business person that doesn't really have a staff of copywriters and so on. So there's just some detail about that. And then probably I think the best part of it is that I developed this sort of 8-step content distribution flow. So we'll base this off the blog. You write a blog article, and then you sort of chop it up and disseminate it to all the different social media sites. So we'll look at that. And at the end, we need to evaluate and figure out, did all this time and money that we spent on this, did it work? So we'll talk a little bit about that.